Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. So it is that time of week again where we're going to do a user suggested deck list. After each week's user suggested deck list, viewers leave a deck list recommendation in the comment section down below. The one that gets the most likes, the most comments, the most thumbs up is the deck that we will run for that following week, regardless of what it is. So this week we got a pretty interesting one. We had a comment by a user named Luke. So Luke said a deck that would be fun would be a 6-power Cerebro deck. They've seen a few floating around, but the core idea is that Cerebro with Mystique and Onslaught gets huge. So we would probably need Magic and maybe a mini destroy package of Hood, Bucky, and Carnage to make the deck list work. And so Cerebro is not one that I have played very in-depth, so I did leverage the official Marvel Snap Discord to look for some different ideas. And there are several takes on it, but the one that I decided to go with, because I thought it was pretty unique, was one from Ripley J. So Ripley J's version has Iceman, it has Quinjet, and it has a Beast Falcon package, which I thought was really unique. And so instead of just running 6-cost cards, it's going to have an Iceman and a Hulkbuster, so you can merge those two together. It's going to have Quinjet, so any cards that we bounce back into our hand with Beast are going to be cheaper. We can drop the Hood, we can then bounce that back into our hand with Falcon, with Beast, to generate an additional 6-power demon token each time we drop that card on the board. And so it's not focusing on all high power, high cost cards. And so it's going to be a little bit harder for the opponent to know exactly what we're running right off the bat. So with a Cerebro 3, whenever you first notice that all of the first 3 cards that the person drops are 3 power, you have a pretty good idea that they're going to be running a Cerebro deck. With this one, it's going to be a little bit harder to identify. We didn't end up going with Magic. I think that it's an okay slot, but then we're going to have to take away one of our potential high power cards to slot alongside it. So we're just going to go with the normal 6-turn game and try to get our 6 power cards out onto the board. I haven't tested this since it is a user suggested deck list. I haven't tested it yet, but it looks interesting nonetheless. It could be pretty decent. And yes, it is location dependent, but let's say that Monster Island comes up and there's a 9-power monster. We can always either destroy that with Carnage, or we can bounce it back into our hand with Beast, where he will sit in Purgatory and not be played again. Same thing with Squirrels if they are clogging up too much space. The only thing we don't have a potential solution for is if there is a location that adjusts our power level. So negative zone, Clintar. If it's going to adjust that power level, we could potentially miss out on the Cerebro buff. We just have to be cautious of those locations. And so running through the deck list really quickly. First up, we have the Hood, who is going to generate a 6-power demon token. This is going to be the most ideal card for us in this deck list. It is a cheap card. It is one that we can bounce back and forth and get multiple of. And it's a 6-power, so it will fit in with the Onslaught bonus. We have Iceman, who is going to offer a little bit of disruption towards the enemy. Plus, if we merge Iceman and Hulkbuster together, it is a 6-power card. And then even if we bounce it back into our hand, he retains that 1 cost. We can play him again, and he will retain that 6-power bonus. We can adjust where we want to play him at. We have Quinjet. Since we're going to be bouncing cards back into our hand, let's say we drop a Falcon and then Quinjet right behind it on 3. This is going to allow our demon tokens to be 0 cost, which is going to help us in pushing them down onto the board without clogging up the rest of our play. So if we drop a Hood on turn 5 and we draw into Onslaught on 6, we're going to be able to drop both Onslaught and our demon token if Quinjet is on the board. And then we have Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes is going to, when destroyed, become the Winter Soldier. This is going to fit into that 6-power category that we are looking for, and it offers an enabler for our Carnage. With Carnage, we're going to want to be able to destroy 2 cards. That is going to put him at exactly 6 power. So if we don't have any other fodder, Bucky Barnes is perfect. We can even eat our Hood or Iceman or Quinjet if absolutely needed to make sure that he gets to that 6-power level. And then going backwards just a bit, we have Beast. He has the Ownerville ability. We're going to return our cards to our hand. This is going to allow us to re-trigger Hood, re-trigger Iceman, re-trigger some of those high power cards. Maybe we dropped Cerebro not thinking we would draw into Mystique, and then we do. We can bounce Cerebro back into our hand for some reason if we want to, so that we can play him and then follow up with Mystique. If Sakaar comes down and it pulls Mystique in, we can always bounce it back into our hand with Beast to be able to re-trigger and get that actual upside from those cards. We have Falcon, who's going to return our 1-cost cards to our hand. This is going to be our Hood, our Iceman, and our Quinjet, and the Demon token. And so the primary targets of this are Hood and Iceman. The Hood to generate some additional high power cards for us, Iceman to disrupt their playstyle and their energy curve. We have the bread and butter of the deck list. We have Cerebro. He is going to give our highest power cards plus 2. And so if there is an Onslaught Citadel, we can throw him there. It's going to give them +4. If not, we can always copy his ability with Mystique. We can drop an Onslaught, which will double that ability. Some pretty decent power push with Cerebro if we can draw into it, and we can drop it on curve. And then we have Mystique. She's going to copy the ongoing ability of the last card that we played. And so in this deck list, that is primarily going to be Cerebro unless the enemy drops a wave and we can cheat Onslaught out early. And then we have Hulkbuster. His main target, or his primary target in this deck list, is to hit either Quinjet or Iceman to allow them to be a 6-power card as well, so that they can get the benefit of the Onslaught Cerebro bonus. We have Black Cat. She is most of the time going to end up getting discarded, but if we draw into her late, she is a cheap 6-cost card that we can throw into the board along with some of our other resources. And then lastly, we have Onslaught. Onslaught is going to amplify all of our ongoing abilities at that location, so that is going to be our Cerebro and our Mystique. He is going to make them double. And so if we have both Cerebro and Mystique, that is all of a sudden going to be 8 power to every single 6 power card that we have, including Onslaught. And so that is the rundown of the deck list. We are going to go ahead and jump into a few games and see how this goes. All right, first up we have Jeffy415. In our starting hand, we do have the Hood and we have Beast. So we're going to be able to bounce the Hood back into our hand if we want to. Depending on what we draw into, we will probably end up going that route. Ooh, and so we are going to discard our Black Cat here, which is a little bit unfortunate. Do we go ahead and bounce the Hood back into our hand? I think we do. I don't think we waste any time in getting as many demon tokens onto the board as we can. And so let's go ahead and bounce it back into our hand. Let's see what this last location is. It is Nova Roma. So we're going to draw an additional card. That's perfect. Ooh, and then we get Cerebro. We get the Bro. After turn 5, we're going to automatically place a card into Grand Central here. So I think what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and do the Hood. We will go ahead and do Bucky Barnes, and we will drop our Demon into Grand Central. Next turn, we are going to focus on pushing out our Carnage, and then we're going to start working on getting Cerebro and Mystique out onto the board. So they use an Electro, so they're running a ramp style deck. They're only going to be able to play 1 card from now on, but they have access to a 5-cost card this turn, and then on turns 5 and 6, they will get access to a 6-cost card on each of those turns. And so I think we do play our Carnage this turn. It will make this a 6-power card. I'm going to go ahead and follow up with a Demon here, and then I think I do play Cerebro, which does feel kind of bad, into Grand Central next turn, because if we pull into Hulkbuster, it will merge here, which is not great for us. But we do need to get, I hope it doesn't pull. Oh my gosh, this could be terrible. I hope that it does not pull into our Falcon, because they dropped Sandman. We're only going to be able to play 1 card per turn. If we pull into both of our demons, it is going to be very, very difficult to get those back into our hand. And then otherwise we could hold our Cerebro and then just drop something like Hulkbuster this turn. But the Sandman does kink us up quite a bit here. So it is going to be a little bit scary. We do drop our Bro onto the board. They drop a Jubilee to pull into 1 additional card, which is a Dr. Doom, so that goes wide. If we do pull it, we get the upside of pulling into Mystique here, which is phenomenal. Jubilee is going to trigger for them again, which is Ebony Maw, so I don't think we're going to be able to compete for Grand Central. We do know that we have Nova Roma already locked down, and so unless we can get an Onslaught here, oh my gosh, we get the 1 in 3 shot here. So we get the Onslaught. That is going to become a 18 power. So 2, 4, it's going to be 8. And so no, it's going to be a 14 power. So this would be a 28 power lane. This will be a lot more than 30. I think we have a really good shot because of that onslaught, that really clutch onslaught and that really clutch Mystique pull after our Cerebro drop. It could have been really bad with Falcon. It could have been bad with Hulkbuster, but we get the upside. We get the onslaught. We are going to go ahead and drop it mid. We're not going to move any cards anywhere. I don't think we need to. So they do an Iron Man in the left-hand side. That is not going to be enough for them. We do have our onslaught, something like a 28 power mid and a 42 power Nova Roma. What a first Cerebro 6 game. Absolutely large. Of course, we did get lucky with the draws, with the RNG. We got very, very lucky here, but that was so much fun. All right, so next up we have Narkoshka. And so starting off, we have our Mystique and our Onslaught. We also have Bucky Barnes and Falcon to pull our cards back in. We definitely need to draw into the hood. Quinjet is okay. It's not perfect though. We are going to go ahead and just play Quinjet. Since we know what this location is, we know that our cards are not... Ooh, that is absolutely tough. It only actually impacts our Onslaught, so it could have been a lot worse. And so here, I think we go ahead and play our Hulkbuster. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Hulkbuster into Wakanda. Next turn, we can look at what we need to do with our other cards. So maybe we're not going to have enough to do everything we need to get this 6 power going. That's tough. That's really, really tough. Okay. So we can do the Black Cat. We can also play Iceman here. Next turn, we will go ahead and do a Falcon. That seems like it's going to be too late to pull them back into our hand because that'd be turn 5. So maybe we don't do Iceman here. Maybe next turn we do something like a Bucky Barnes and a Carnage and an Iceman here. We could do an Iceman here this turn. We don't necessarily need... Actually, go ahead and do Iceman here. We don't necessarily need the energy or this card since we already merged Hulkbuster with Quinjet. So let's go ahead and go do the 6 power Black Cat. Ooh, so they have 10 power right now. But if we can get our Cerebro... No, we don't. Okay. Never lucky. Never, never lucky. So in that case, we want to kind of future-proof ourselves. We can do a Bucky Barnes and we can do a Carnage. If we draw into... We have a 1 in 2 shot to draw into the Cerebro. If we draw into the Cerebro... Oh, wait. That wouldn't put us at 6, would it? We have to do it here. So we are going to kill our Quinjet, unfortunately, but that will leave us with 2 6 power cards here. We have a 50-50 shot in this upcoming turn to hit our Cerebro, which we can drop into the Dark Dimension as a kind of surprise. Oh my gosh, we are so foolish. I mean, at this point, it is what it is. We messed up. We should have put Bucky Barnes in the left-hand lane at the very least, because then Carnage would have destroyed it. We would have at least had 1 6 power token over here. Instead, we have no power in the Dark Dimension. I anticipate that they push as much power as they can into this lane or into Wakanda. So because of our misplay of the Bucky Barnes, the Carnage, into Wakanda where cards cannot be destroyed, we are probably going to lose this match. And so they put a Juggernaut, which only puts them at 10. We do get it. We get it, right? That's going to put us at 12. That's going to put us at 12 in the flooded location. No way. Did we get lucky enough to pull? Oh, we lose. Dang. Okay, so I feel a little bit better. We would have lost either way. We would have won this lane, but we would have lost this one, right? Because this would have been... No, we would have tied this lane. We would have tied this lane, and we would have won this lane. So the misplay is what caused us to not win this one. Had we had the 6 power token here, it would have been 10. It would have been enough to win Dark Dimension. We would have tied here. We would have tied here with just the Quinjet. Unfortunately, we misplayed, but learn from my mistakes. We will do better in the following games, but learn from my mistakes. All right, so next up we have Doko, and we are going to go ahead and play Quinjet into Wakanda. Not that it's going to really do us any good just yet. We will most likely end up pulling it up with Falcon. We want to draw into our hood here. This beautiful. And so we are going to drop the hood. We're going to go ahead and drop it into Wakanda as well, since we don't know what this location is. And then next turn, we're going to pull them back into our hand with Beast, and then, or with Falcon. And then it does play our 0 cost. Ooh, and so then their Spectrum comes down, which is a huge power of Cerebro 6. They were afraid of the Cerebro 6. but in reality, their big late game power push of Spectrum did come down onto the board with Sakaar, which only ended up hitting their Colossus, and so then all of a sudden their late game power swing is gone. All right, next up we have Legend Reborn. In our starting hand, we have Black Cat, but that's going to end up being discarded. We have our Bucky Barnes. Ooh, their Black Cat gets discarded as well, but they're probably not running the same thing we are. So we do have a Hood here, which is great for us. We are going to drop Hood into the icebox. Next turn, depending on what we draw, we either work towards bouncing it back into our hand. Ooh, and then they get a death. This is going to be a tough win. We are going to have a lot of power pushed onto the board and get fairly lucky to be able to win this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do Bucky Barnes into Central Park. If we draw Carnage, we will eat this lane. If we draw into Falcon, we'll be able to pull all these little squirrelings back into our hand, which is going to be more ideal. Ooh, we drop a Wave, which is going to allow us to drop our Onslaught early. Let's go ahead and drop Onslaught into the icebox. Next turn, we'll be able to do Falcon here. Reason I don't want to do Onslaught into Nowhere is because if we get lucky and we draw into Mystique, it's not going to be able to copy the ongoing ability in Nowhere because On Reveals will not trigger. So we are going to play Onslaught into the icebox. We're going to be able to pull the Hood and the Squirrel back into our hand with Falcon. But of course, okay, so we don't get that lucky. Let's go ahead and kill this lane, get 2 6-power tokens here. We are going to go ahead and drop Falcon into Central Park as well. Next turn, we will probably end up dropping our Demon here, as well as our Cerebro. It depends on where they push power, honestly. Maybe we just drop the Demon here so that we can get a decent sized power push. Okay, no, we get Beast, which is not what you want necessarily. So we do the Cerebro. We have to do Cerebro or else this whole deck is kaput. But this is going to give us +4 power, so this is a 10 power lane. Where do we compete for power? If I put the 6 power demon token over here, this is a 21 power lane, and this is going to be a 6 and 6, so that's going to be 23, 24 power lane. Leaving Nowhere, I think they drop some resources into Nowhere and then maybe drop like a pity card into one of the left or right lanes, but I think this gives us the best shot at winning. Let's go ahead and they do end up retreating, but we were going to be able to have a really high power push in both the left and right lane that was going to be very difficult to compete with. All right, so next up we have Gentle Barracuda. And the first location was Sokovia, which made us discard our Quinjet, and it made them discard their Agent 13. Gentle Barracuda may be a bot with a name and the base profile, but we will see. So we are going to go ahead and play our Beast to pull the Hood back into our hand. We'll then be able to re-drop it onto the board, get another Demon token. We can also drop our Hulkbuster into Sokovia so that our Beast is 6 power as well. And so now the Hood is free. Oh, off of Bar with no name. Let's go ahead and snap. We're going to be able to drop the Hood there and just leave him, and then it's not going to be an issue. I don't think we need to necessarily rush it. Let's wait a couple turns, make sure that they don't change the location. And then we did have both Cerebro and Mystique, so we were going to have a really good game regardless. All right, so next up we have Hard Edge, and we are going to start with Iceman onto the board. That is going to cause some of their cards to be a little bit harder to play because they're going to cost a little bit more. We do discard Black Cat, and typically we don't like when that happens, but with Mindscape, if we do end up switching hands on turn 6, then at the very least, we know that they're going to have one less resource because we ended up discarding that Black Cat. So then they drop their Hood, they drop a Demon into the unknown location, which could be bad for them. They don't know, ooh, and they get Murder World out of it. Let's go ahead and snap off of that. A super unfortunate play into Murder World, but they retreated. But honestly, Los Diablos base could have ended up destroying Murder World and allowed them to keep their Demon, so it wouldn't have been a guaranteed. Maybe they retreated too hastily, but we will take it nonetheless. All right, so next up we're going against Sorvonic. The first location is Baxter Building. We're going to play the Hood first. That's going to give us a token that we're able to play. Next turn, we may do a Bucky Barnes into Baxter Building. We may also drop a Quinjet. So I think we're actually going to drop our Falcon here. That's going to allow us to pull back into the Hood, which they put in armor so that we can't destroy it, but that's fine. We don't need to destroy it. We're going to chuckle all the way over to the bank because of that armor. And with Lemuria, our cards are not going to reveal this turn. So I think we do a Hood and a Bucky Barnes into Nova Roma. That is going to give us an additional 6 power Demon token. And then we're going to be able to push a decent amount of power into the Baxter building. Ooh, and then we do get Cerebro here. So we have Cerebro, Mystique, and Iceman. So I think we're going to go ahead and play our demon here. We're going to go ahead and play Cerebro. Let's go ahead and snap. We have all of the pieces to be successful. We're going to have an additional 6 power card. So if worst case scenario we need to, we can play the extra demon card here for another power push or here for another power push to push the 3. Ideally, at some point, we'll draw into Carnage, which will allow us to destroy this lane and get 2 more 6 power tokens onto the board. And so they use a Deathlock, which of course with the armor is not going to do it for them. And then a Cosmo, so we're not going to be able to destroy this lane. And they're not going to be able to destroy the Nova lane either, which is strange. They will be able to drop a Destroyer here, potentially. So we are going to go ahead and drop Mystique, and I think we drop one of the Demon tokens here. I think this is going to be a high priority location for us to win. Actually, no, let's go ahead and drop our Quinjet and our Iceman. It's going to disrupt their potential curve, and it's going to allow us to drop our demon on the last turn for free alongside our onslaught. That way, if we need to push... No, my gosh, we did not get bullied like that. There's no way we got bullied that hard. Oh my gosh, we did. That Hobgoblin came in huge for him there. Super unfortunate. Maybe we can get lucky. So this will give us an additional 4 power. I mean, we have a shot, right? So the demon token in mid, if they play Destroyer there, is only going to be a 14 power token, so that puts us at 15. That's not going to beat a Destroyer, but it will come up over the power here with the additional 4 from our demon. I feel pretty decent about this. So let's go ahead and see, is this a Destroyer? Yep, too bad. Wham bam, thank you, Sam. We are going to win Baxter Building and Lemuria with the onslaught play there. So it took all of our Cerebro 6 essence to make that one happen. I feel like every single fight with a Cerebro deck is such a battle. Like you can get some surprise wins, but I feel like it is such an uphill battle because you need location luck, you need draw luck, you need opponents play luck. There's a lot that goes into potentially being able to win with Cerebro 6. And so with that win, we are going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. If there is a deck list that you want to see us run, make sure to leave it in a comment. The one that gets the most votes next week will be the deck that we end up running for that video. And so make sure to leave it and check out other people's entries as well and give a thumbs up to the one that you want to see the most. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.